Beloved soul, it began so simply. He handed your picture to the psychic, expecting nothing more than a playful glimpse into the unknown. The room was dimly lit, only candles casting a soft glow that danced along the walls. The smell of burning sage lingered thick in the air, and a faint chime echoed faintly as though time itself was slowing. The psychic sat quietly, her gaze steady on the photograph, her fingers brushing its edges with care as though she could feel the life hidden within it. At first, everything seemed calm. Her face softened, her breathing slowed, and her eyes gently closed as if she were falling into a quiet trance. The man sat across from her, leaning back, his lips curved with a half-smile. He believed this would be nothing more than light entertainment, a story to laugh about later, a memory tucked away without consequence. The silence in the room felt almost peaceful, like the pause before a dream begins. But then, something shifted. Her breath, once steady, began to quicken. The serenity melted into tension. Her fingers trembled as they held the photograph tighter, and a faint shadow of unease stretched across her face. The man's smile faded as curiosity twisted into concern. He leaned forward, the air around him suddenly cooler, heavier, as though unseen eyes were watching from the corners of the room. The stillness that had once been calming now pressed against his chest like a weight. Her lips began to move, yet no sound escaped, as though she was whispering secrets only she could hear. He stared, his heart pounding, caught between fascination and fear. This was no longer a game, no longer a simple reading. Something unseen filled the space, something ancient and strange, brushing against the edges of his awareness. He hadn't expected this, hadn't prepared for it, and the knot of fear twisting in his stomach told him there was no going back. He sat frozen, waiting, each second stretching into eternity. His pulse echoed in his ears, louder and louder, as if it were the only sound left in the world. What had started as curiosity had become something far more dangerous. The psychic's hands trembled against the picture, her breathing uneven, her body rigid. The man could no longer dismiss what he was seeing. Something was happening, something beyond reason, and though he didn't yet understand, deep down, he knew this moment would change everything. Her eyes opened at last, and they were not the same as before. They gleamed with an intensity so sharp it made him lean back in his chair. Her expression was caught between awe and fear, as though she had glimpsed something that defied words. She clutched the photo tighter, her knuckles white, before quickly placing it back on the table as if it had burned her skin. The man swallowed hard, his chest heavy, watching her with a mix of dread and desperate anticipation. He thought he had come for curiosity, but now every fiber of him demanded to know the truth. Her voice, when it came, was low and steady, but it trembled underneath, carrying the weight of something dangerous. "You don't understand what you're dealing with," she said. Each word slid into the silence like a stone breaking the surface of still water. The man's breath caught. He wanted to ask, to demand answers, but the look in her eyes froze him. It wasn't just fear. It was reverence, as though she stood in the presence of something far greater than herself. The air thickened, colder now, heavy with an invisible pressure that pressed against them both. The faint chime that had filled the room earlier now felt distant, almost otherworldly, as if it belonged to another realm entirely. The psychic's hands trembled on the table, her fingers twitching nervously. She looked down at the photograph, then back at him, her lips sealed tightly as though opening them would release a truth too dangerous to be spoken. Finally, she drew in a deep breath. Her voice was slow, deliberate, almost reluctant, as though every word cost her something. "This person in the picture," she whispered, "they are not ordinary. Their energy, it's overwhelming." The man blinked, confusion flashing across his face. Overwhelming? He knew you, your smile, your habits, the small quirks that made you human. Yet her words crawled into his mind and unsettled everything he thought he understood. Questions burned inside him, but the silence between them grew louder, pressing him into stillness. He leaned closer, his need for answers clashing with the fear that was tightening in his chest. She held his gaze, her expression grave, her eyes flicking once more toward the shadows that seemed to shift and stir in the candlelight. "Protecting them, and yourself, may not be easy," she murmured. The words fell heavy between them, and in that moment, he understood. This was no ordinary reading. This was a warning. The man's mouth went dry, but his need to know was stronger than his fear. He leaned forward, his voice barely more than a whisper. "What are you saying? Who are they?" His words trembled in the air, desperate and urgent. The psychic hesitated, her lips pressing together as though to hold back a truth she wasn't sure he was ready to hear. Her eyes flicked to the photograph, then to the darkened corners of the room, as if expecting something unseen to step forward from the shadows. The man's heart pounded, each beat loud enough to echo in the silence. Her hands trembled as she finally leaned closer, her shadow flickering in the candlelight. When she spoke, her voice was soft, but it carried a gravity that silenced even his thoughts. "They are more than you think," she whispered. "More than anyone realizes." The words clung to the air, refusing to fade. His stomach churned, his mind racing to make sense of what she meant. More than he thought. He knew you, or at least he believed he did. But had he missed something, something hidden just beneath the surface? The psychic's gaze pierced through him, her pale face taut with unease. "I must warn you," she said, her tone low and trembling. "This person, their presence in your life is no accident. They are connected to you in ways you cannot yet understand." Her words hit him like a blade, sharp and unrelenting. His chest tightened, and his fingers gripped the edge of the table as if anchoring himself against the storm building within him. He wanted to protest, to shake his head and deny it, but deep down he felt the truth of what she said. His voice cracked when he spoke again, urgent and raw. "Destined? For what?" The psychic's eyes locked on his, unwavering. "They are a soul destined to transform your life," she said. Her expression was one of both caution and certainty, as if she wished she could soften the truth but could not alter it. Transformation is never easy. They carry a mysterious power. One that can heal your wounds or reveal your deepest truths. Even the truths you've hidden from yourself. Her words cut through him, sinking deep into places he had long kept sealed. A chill spread through his veins as he sat frozen, struggling to absorb the meaning. Heal or unearth his darkest truths. The possibilities were terrifying, yet strangely magnetic. He couldn't escape the pull of it, couldn't ignore the certainty in her tone. Something inside him whispered that she was right, that your presence in his life was already changing him in ways he hadn't been able to name. And now, the thought of what lay ahead filled him with both dread and a dangerous kind of hope. The words echoed in his head, circling like restless shadows. Transformation is never easy, he could feel them pressing against his thoughts, unraveling the fragile certainty he had carried into that room. He shifted in his chair, his body stiff, as though his very bones resisted the truth being laid before him. For the first time, he realized this reading wasn't about curiosity or entertainment, it was about him. About you. About the invisible thread that had bound your lives together long before this moment. Every memory of you rushed into his mind at once, your laughter, your quiet silences, the way your presence seemed to shift the air around him. He thought back to moments he had brushed off as coincidence, feelings he had buried under reason. Now, under the weight of the psychic's warning, each of those memories felt different, heavier, as if they had always carried a secret meaning he hadn't been ready to see. His breath came shallow, and he could feel his heartbeat drumming against his ribs like a warning he couldn't ignore. The psychic's eyes lingered on him, her face pale, her lips pressed tight. Then, with a voice barely louder than a whisper, she added the words that would haunt him. Asterisk, they are not in your life by chance. Embrace their presence, but remember, the choice of how this transformation unfolds is yours. Asterisk, the sentence cut through the thick air, leaving it charged with something both terrifying and sacred. He sat there frozen, his fingers trembling on the table, realizing that nothing about his connection to you was random. It was deliberate. It was fate. As he finally stood and stepped out of the psychic's dimly lit room, the night air greeted him with a sharp chill. But the cold wasn't what made him shiver, it was her words, still echoing through him like a bell that would not stop ringing. Each syllable carried a weight that clung to his bones, a reminder that his path was no longer ordinary. He had crossed into something vast, something he couldn't yet define, and there would be no turning back. The street outside felt the same as it always had, yet everything looked different to him now. The shadows seemed deeper, the air heavier, as though the world itself was conspiring to remind him of what he had just learned. He walked slowly, his mind spiraling, trying to hold on to reason, but the truth pressed harder: you were not simply a part of his life. You were shaping it, guiding it, transforming it. And though the thought filled him with dread, it also drew him closer to you in a way he could no longer resist. Days slipped into weeks, yet the psychic's words never loosened their grip on his mind. They echoed in quiet moments, like whispers refusing to fade, twisting into his thoughts no matter how hard he tried to push them away. He caught himself thinking of you constantly, your smile, the way your presence seemed to change the air, the subtle pull he had always felt but never understood. Now he wondered if you knew, if you sensed the same invisible force she had described. Or perhaps you carried it unknowingly, like a hidden fire burning within you, shaping everything around you without intent. The more he thought about it, the more he realized the psychic had been right. Transformation is never easy. To accept you meant facing his fears, his vulnerabilities, the pieces of himself he had buried for years. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be simple. There would be challenges, storms that would test his strength. But somewhere deep within, beneath the fear, he felt a strange certainty. If he allowed this connection to unfold, if he trusted it, he would emerge changed, stronger, wiser, and closer to truths he had never dared confront. So, he made a choice. It wasn't loud or dramatic, but it was powerful all the same. He chose to lean into the mystery rather than run from it. He chose to embrace the unknown, to trust the strange and magnetic bond he felt with you. Whatever lay ahead, healing, pain, revelation, it was tied to his path, and he could no longer deny it. He whispered a silent vow to himself: he would face it all, not with fear, but with faith. And then, as if guided by something greater, he turned his thoughts into prayer. He lifted his voice to the heavens, asking for strength, guidance, and blessing. "O Heavenly Father," he prayed, reveal to me the purpose of this path. You have sent this soul into my life as a guiding light. If their presence is to heal me, let me trust your will. If it is to reveal my hidden pain, let me grow through it. Prosper my efforts, bless my hands, transform my struggles into treasures, and let abundance flow through my life. His words rose like incense, carrying both his fears and his hopes upward. With every word, his heart grew lighter. Though the mystery remained, he felt no longer lost. He believed the connection between you was not a burden but a gift, one that would guide him toward growth, toward truth, toward divine purpose. And with that prayer, he placed the bond in God's hands, trusting that whatever came next, healing or revelation, it was meant to unfold exactly as it should. He stepped forward with faith, ready to face the unknown, knowing that you were not in his life by chance. You were there for a reason, and together, you were destined to walk a path that would change everything. Subscribe now to keep the flow of divine words coming straight into your life every day. A simple super thanks can change the course of this channel's reach and impact. When you sow a super thanks, you are planting seeds of faith in someone else's journey. Stickers and live streams lift the energy and show support in a joyful, visible way. Type Amen boldly to affirm that this word belongs to you and your future. Type 111 and watch how your spirit aligns with the doors God is opening for you. Type 555 to claim your transformation and step into your divine season. Every super thanks carries a story. It says you believe in spreading light in a dark world. Super chat is more than a donation, it's a way of raising your voice in faith within this family. Type 111 to declare alignment with the blessings flowing into your life right now. Type 555 to unlock the transformation that has already begun for you. Every super thanks given helps us continue creating messages that bring peace and hope to thousands. When you donate through super thanks, you become a vessel of love reaching people far beyond what you can see. Support through super chat lets your voice and faith shine brightly in our community.